What is up, you beautiful YouTube people? Team Badman here, and we are coming at you with a new segment called Table Talk. Now, Table Talk is going to be a series solely dedicated to discussing cards. We're not going to try to create any builds or anything like that. Instead, we're just going to look at the cards, we're going to look at the possibilities that they've got, and, we're going to compare them. Whether it be to themselves, to similar cards of the type, to, older cards, anything like that. We've got really good timing for deciding to do the series because Evolution is about to drop. Yes, the new Dragon Ball series. Evolution, the 4th set in the card game, is dropping at the end of this week, and as of Friday, we officially have information on all 6 of the brand new Masteries that are going to drop in the starter decks, as well as the MPs that are going to come with them. Now, I'm not going to discuss any of the MPs in the segment. That's going to be for another video, but instead this time I'm going to discuss all the new Masteries. We've got a new one for each style: red, blue, black, orange, Saiyan, Namekian. And I'm going to take a look at them, see what they do, kind of compare them to the old Mastery, and, see how they stack up in comparison. I'm going to go through each Mastery, what they do, talk about the possibilities, and at the end, I'm going to rank all of the Masteries that are released in this set from the best to the worst. Now, if you guys disagree or if you guys have any kind of feedback, you can always leave a comment down below, or you guys can get a hold of us on Facebook or Twitter or wherever you guys want to, and we'll be happy to hear feedback from you guys. It'd be greatly appreciated. So, all right, let's just go on ahead and jump right in. What I'm going to do is I'm going to analyze all of the Masteries in the order that they appear in the card listing, which is going to go in the order of Saiyan, blue, Namekian, orange, red, and lastly black. So let's go ahead right in. We're going to open with the Saiyan Rampaging Mastery. Now, the Saiyan Rampaging Mastery has a constant ability that you need 1 less anger to advance a personality level to a minimum of 4. This basically has the exact same effect as Saiyan Analysis Drill from set 1, but with the caveat of that to a minimum of 4, which means that this can stack with Saiyan Analysis Drill, but only in the case that you're playing against the Blue Protective Mastery, which requires 6 anger in order to level up. Either way, it's a really nice feature to have. All of your style attacks gain hit. You may raise your anger 1 level. The nice part there is that it's a may and that you are not actually obligated to, especially compared to the old Saiyan Empowered Mastery, where anytime you played a styled card, you automatically raise your anger 1 level. The power of this mastery allows you to discard a styled card in your hand with Endurance to perform a non-style attack that deals 1 stage of damage plus X stages equal to the amount of Endurance on the card. Now, the big thing to notice right out the gate with this mastery is that there is not that obnoxious little quote that says you cannot win by MPPV. So yes, this mastery does open Saiyan up to the idea of MPPV, especially with needing 1 less anger to advance personality level. However, the caveat that I find with it is that Saiyan took for granted through sets 1 through 3 the fact that every style attack automatically raised your anger 1 level, and there really aren't a whole lot of Saiyan style cards that actually bump up your anger. Saiyan Spin Kick comes to mind, Saiyan Left Kick. I think there are a couple of others that I'm missing that I'm just forgetting, but there's not a whole lot that you can really work with to raise your anger. While yes, style attacks do gain hit, you may raise your anger, but you have to hit in the first place as opposed to getting that ability outright, which is a little bit more of a challenge against slow, control-y kind of decks, against major blue style, or against anything that runs a whole lot of blocks. As such, you're going to kind of want to rely on either named cards that raise your anger, like Vegeta's Gallic Gun, or you'd want to rely on freestyle cards that bump up your anger, cards like Devastating Blow or Enraged Blast, and it kind of puts a hamper on the idea of Saiyan as an MPPV mastery. It is still completely possible, but I think if there are players who really want to do that level jumping kind of idea, they're going to stick with the old Saiyan Empowered Mastery, which is going to help you level really quickly. And even if you don't get access to that MPPV, it's not really that big of an issue because you get up to level 3 and level 4 pretty quickly. And a lot of the MPs that you would use have really, really nice abilities on those upper levels. You've got Nappa with the +4 stage buff, Raditz who can run that absolutely nasty menace loop. Even Goku being able to pull out some great drills, both non-styled and in the style. So, I think the idea of it being MPPV isn't really going to be such a thing. Instead, this is going to help MPs who really, really just want to stay on level 1 and get the most benefit out of that. Turles is an example that comes to mind who would absolutely love having that, maintaining the +2 stage buff to style attacks, plus shutting off all endurance for, all of those attacks is really going to help. And he doesn't need to worry about jumping from 1 to 2, where he's going to lose that stage buff and get kind of an inferior attack in comparison. God Goku is another MP who would really, really love this, being able to just stick on that, high stage and not worry about accidentally jumping to level 2 and having to rely on that ability to level back down, which, you can get screwed over if your opponent, times and I'll dig your grave really badly against you and levels you up so that you can't jump back down and stay on level 1. So that really takes that kind of idea out of the equation. Even Nappa and Raditz, even with their low power stages, might really benefit from it. The hand advantage in Raditz and ally hate in Nappa, which is, something that Saiyan has, but it could use a little bit more of beyond, just intimidation and spin kick, things like that. Even Pinpoint Blast does the work, but it's nice being able to have that consistently as well as some degree of stage damage. The actual power is all right, I guess. Being able to discard a card with endurance to throw out an attack is nice, especially at the end of a combat where it may be a dead card and get discarded otherwise. So, it does have some degree of utility, but discarding, a styled card for a non-styled attack is not super good. And being non-styled, it doesn't benefit from its own ability of hit and raise anger. So, it kind of slows that whole idea down. Sure, there are drills that you could use to buff it up. You could use, say, an Unleashing Drill, or you could always have Tree of Might equipped. So, it may be good in certain situations. And it's not like Saiyan is really lacking in any kind of endurance cards. You've got Spin Kick's got 2, Hand Swipe has 3, you've got a Colossal 4 on Saiyan Direct Strike, which is really nice. But for most of the attacks that already have endurance, it's like, why wouldn't I just throw this as an attack anyway? So as a power, it's situationally good. It's not super stellar. I think they could have done a better job with it, but it's still yet to be seen, especially with some of the cards that, if you're discarding them, you could banish them to get an effect. We've already seen it with, say, an Inspection Drill, to where you can banish and get the blue guard effect in order to draw a card. So, there is a means of utility to it, but I think it's an okay ability at best. They took, a potentially good constant, kind of hampered it with a decent every combat power, and it kind of fell off because of that. I think for players who are going to play Saiyan, they're still going to stick with the old Empowered Mastery, but that doesn't make this any less of an option, especially if you just want to kind of camp on certain levels. Next up is arguably the most talked about mastery that we have had on the list, the Blue Tag Team Mastery. Now, the Tag Team Mastery right out the gate has an absolutely phenomenal effect where at the start of your opponent's first turn, you can search your life deck for an ally and place him to play immediately 3 power stages above 0. It also has a constant ability to where if you only control one ally, it cannot be dropped by critical damage effects. This is a really, really nice ability to have, especially against decks that may easily deal critical damage and have really good utility for popping off allies. Red is really going to feel hurt from this since they're not going to be able to throw knee lifts or utilize the shoulder grab automatic critical effect to pop off allies. Krillin is not going to get a benefit out of throwing those superpowered Destructo Discs in black or in orange, or even in blue style if you've got Lifting Drill out. So it kind of slows down the ability of dealing damage and wiping out allies. That said, they can still be removed from the game by direct discard effects like Nappa's power, or they can be banished out directly by Blue Betrayal, Orange Stare Down, and even new cards like Android 17's Van, which is where the instant power comes in, and it's an absolutely ridiculous instant power. At the end of combat, if you have an ally in your banish zone, you can choose that ally and you can rejuvenate it. So basically, when Android 17 came out and everyone was saying, oh no, GG Ginyu, there's no way that we're going to win, all of our allies are going to get banished out. And we turn around and get this Mastery, it's like, well, we just got some new life here. It's really going to kind of open up ally decks as a possibility. Ginyu is going to absolutely adore this Mastery, and the Goku who's packaged with is really going to benefit, from being able to pull out allies and not really worry about them getting banished. So, cards like the aforementioned Betrayal and the Orange Stare Down, say Intimidation, stuff like that, just lost a whole lot of effect in the blue matchup, and it's really going to, I think, open up the archetype of the ally deck. You're going to see a ton of blue ally decks that are going to come out of this, and they're all going to be running this Mastery. In my mind, it's the best Mastery, I think, that was dropped out of all 6, and it really gave some life to a bunch of possibilities. You could run Dragon Balls in your blue deck, and you can run Kami, constantly shuffling Kami out with some of your abilities, pull out some Dragon Balls, and even if he gets banished, pull out another Dragon Ball. Oh look, it's the end of combat. I can rejuvenate Kami, pull him out with a blue Lunar Ray or an overpowering attack, and get him right back into play. Oh, he's gone again. Pull out another Dragon Ball. It could open up tons of possibilities, and I think whenever the next circuit comes out for organized play, or when we start seeing other major tournaments people are going to show up to, there's going to be a lot of the blue tag team Mastery around. It's a phenomenal choice. The next one in line is the Namekian Restored Mastery. Now this one I would put on par with the blue tag team Mastery for just sheer insanity with the abilities. It's unbelievable, which is saying something considering the Namekian Knowledge Mastery was powerful enough as it was. The instant power for Namekian Restored Mastery. At the end of the turn, you can reveal the bottom card of your life deck. If that card is a styled card, or it's a Dragon Ball, you can put it into your hand, then take a card from your hand and put it on the bottom of your life deck. So, in a sense, it's visiting the past at the end of every turn, but from the bottom of your life deck instead of the discard pile. All those heavy rejuvenation cards, the hybrid defenses, the Piccolo level 2 powers, things like that. These are, going to get so much use out of this Mastery, just being able to place virtually whatever you want on the bottom. At the end of the turn, oh look, I decided to put, Namekian Maxim Will, or another Namekian hybrid defense, or a Namekian right throw right into my hand. It gives serious hand advantage to a style that already had a very, very solid hand advantage as it is. And now the immediate power piggybacks right off that and is, I think, even more ridiculous than the instant power. Right off the bat, you raise your anger 2 levels. Whether you do the rest of it, you automatically raise your anger 2 levels, which is something that I think just about any other style would absolutely die to have. That's a free Enraged Blast, that's free Black Dash, or anything like that. It gives Namekian even more utility to use that MPPV, and it's going to get really, really dangerous, especially if people start, mixing the new Piccolo stack with the old Piccolo stack, and there's going to be, I think, a decent amount of speed anger that could come out of Namekian if you do the build right. You may also discard Dragon Ball or a styled card from your hand with power to shuffle your life deck and draw a card. Now, while you lose the anger gain from shuffling your life deck in the Namekian Knowledge Mastery had, that's another card that you get to put in your hand. And if you think about it, if you're sitting on the old Piccolo level 2, you can use this power, raise your anger 2, to draw a card, use Piccolo 2's power to discard a card, rejuvenate 2, and then draw a card if it's styled. And then at the end of your turn, you reveal the bottom card, and if it fits, that's a 3rd card that you are drawing into your hand. There's an absolutely insane amount of hand advantage to this Mastery, and I think it has potential to seriously overwhelm some opponents. But it needs to be done carefully, I think, because if it gets exploited too much, I think it's going to run into kind of the Ten Shinhan syndrome, as I like to call it, in which you just keep drawing into cards and drawing into cards. The next thing you know, you don't have much left in your deck, and there's not really much else that you could do at that point except for maybe hope for a Dragon Ball victory. I don't think it's likely, given the propensity of Namekian to just constantly keep cards in the life deck, but it's a very real possibility. This mastery just opened up so much more possibility for MPPV than the old mastery had. And while some cards are definitely going to slow down because of it, the rejuvenation cards are going to slow down. Namekian Right Throw gets a little bit of a loss in losing 1 anger out of the shuffle, but being able to gain the 2 anger right out of the gate is so nice. Piccolo will love that because that gives him so many 2 anger avenues. He's got the Mastery, he's got Piccolo's weighted clothing, he'll have the aforementioned Right Throw. He can always pull out Dragon Balls during combat, and it's just such a good mastery. I can't really explain it. If Blue Tag Team Mastery didn't exist and didn't have such incredible powers for that archetype, I would totally say that Namekian Restored Mastery is the best, and it still is one of the best. I'm definitely excited to play this one. I'm excited to see the possibilities that it has, what we could find. The next one is the Orange Adept Mastery. Now, while the old Orange Adaptive Mastery was focused around, adding power to energy attacks, this one actually adds power to all of your attacks. All of your attacks deal 1 extra stage of damage, and anytime your MP advances a level, you can search your discard pile for a drill and rejuvenate it. Being able to get a drill back in the deck is really nice, but the major caveat over this mastery is that you do not get to keep your drills when you level up, which makes it a little bit scarier to do, some level jumping with anger cards like Orange Rage. It makes using, I'll Dig Your Grave or Orange Devouring Drill, or in the case of Goku's Kaioken, makes it a little bit more worrisome with this mastery. And I think that those players would be more inclined to use the Orange Adaptive Mastery over this one. This one definitely has a place, and I think we'll see a little bit more of kind of a physical presence with this one. The instant power of Orange Adept Mastery is that after you perform a successful styled attack, which is before you calculate any damage, anything like that, it automatically gains hit. If you control 2 or less drills, you get to search your life deck for a styled drill with an infinity symbol on it for a constant ability, and you get to place it directly into play. This is nice for being able to do it with any styled attack, so you don't need to worry about, if you're throwing in Orange Uppercut to pull out an Energy Combat card, or if you're deciding to throw out, a Power Point or an Orange Distracting Beam or whatever it might be. You still get the ability to pull out an extra drill, in which that's nice to have early game. This definitely helps you get set up early game, and it lets you pull out some of those more beneficial constant drills that you can get. So I think buffing drills would be more inclined to be played with this kind of mastery, especially if you're playing physical. If you're playing Orange Physical, you can hit with that, and then you'll be able to pull out Orange Disaster Drill for +2 stages, or Orange Joint Restraint Drill for +2 stages, or you could even pull out Orange Distracting Drill so that your AT count is always at 4. So it helps for the setup, but I think the risk of losing all of your drills when you level up in the style that has so many good drills is going to kind of steer players away from this one. There are certainly still applications, even that little +1 stage definitely has a perk to it. And like I keep mentioning, I think Orange Physical could really put this to use. Orange Nail is a possibility that's been discussed a whole lot. And, he's got some great styled attacks to work with there. Nail's Dashing Attack counts as a styled card for all the card effects. And since it's an energy combat, you can pull it out with, the newly eroded Orange Uppercut, which only allows you to pull styled energy combat cards now. And it's an AT +4 right off the bat, so that's really nice. You throw in Disaster Drill and Joint Restraint Drill, and that turns to AT +8. And if you want to throw on the Distracting Drill, which makes it 4 right off the attack table, which can help a whole lot early game. You're dealing out 12 stages of damage, both with that and with the uppercut at AT +4. So that can deal some very, very serious damage. There are some other decent physicals in there. Orange Empowered Kick is for +3. Orange Extension is for +2. So, there's a lot of possibility with stuff like that. I think the risk of using an orange physical with this mastery, and even with the old orange adaptive mastery, is that orange physical is sorely, sorely lacking in endurance. I think there's one orange physical card that actually has endurance, and if I'm correct, that's actually in the new set. That's an evolution, so you run the risk of just taking the full amount of damage if you get hit with an energy attack and you don't have a block, and it can knock you out really, really fast. So I would say it's a little bit more of a risk to run it between losing the drills and losing some of the more immediate buffs that you would get out of Orange Adaptive Mastery. But it's still certainly a possibility. There's some work that you can do with it, and it might see some play. It'll be fun to mess around with, but as far as Masteries go, it's all right. It's not great. It's not terrible. It's just all right. Next on the line is the Red Ruthless Mastery. Now, this is a mastery I was really, really excited to see. I'm a fan of Red from the old style. I enjoyed Red and Scorsese, and I enjoy the Red Enraged Mastery. It's showed up in a bunch of decks and something I'm really, really excited to see. And what I like about this mastery is that it kind of steers away from the idea that Red has to be that whole speed anger gun for the MPPV approach. This one allows you to kind of tempo it and turn into more of a beat style, which is really, really exciting. The immediate power of Red Ruthless Mastery is when entering combat, you banish the top card of your discard pile. If you banish a styled card off the top, all of your styled physicals deal 2 extra stages and gain hit, lower your opponent's anger 1 level. So it serves a double utility. It adds an extra damage buff for some physical beats, and it gives a means of anger control to go along with its automatic anger gain, which you'll see in most every card in the style. Some MPs are really going to enjoy this more than others. Just like with the Sand Mastery, I think Turles is going to absolutely adore this mastery, with the ability to banish style card off the top and on level 1 consistently deal +4 stages to all physicals and not having any endurance on any of those attacks. And there's some really nice physicals that Red has. You've got Face Break for +4, you've got Shoulder Grab for +3, you've got Heel Kick to pull out some other attacks, Tandem Attack. And, getting able to get those extra stages turns, even some of the weak cards like Red Knee Lift and Red Double Strike into actually dangerous possibilities that could actually do a pretty good amount of damage. This really gets away from that whole leveling aspect, and you can just camp on some of the lower levels and you can do some really serious work, I think. The immediate power for Red Ruthless Mastery is you can reveal a styled card from your hand and put it on the bottom of your life deck. If you decide to, and the top card of your discard pile is an attack, you can play it. Now note that that doesn't say a styled attack card. The only card that actually has to be styled is the one in your hand to reveal and put at the bottom. Now, it's still an even trade 1-for-1. You lose a card from your hand in order to play an attack right off the top of your discard. But there are certainly places that could set up really, really nicely. If you connect with a red static shot and your opponent doesn't have an energy block, you can always throw this out while that's on top. Hit him with a second static shot, and that's a guaranteed 10 life cards between the 2 hits. That's 4 anger for connecting. In just about any situation, if you've got almost any other red card in your hand, that's a guaranteed level up. There's a lot of possibility there. But the issue that I have with it is that it's still a 1-for-1, and I absolutely hate 1-for-1 trades. I have always hated. I was a chess player when I was a kid, and I never liked doing 1-for-1 trades, and it's the exact same in the card game. What I think we will find more of as we get into the actual full set is that we're going to find some more red cards that say on them, when you reveal this card from your hand, You can do X with it. You can banish it instead to draw a card, or you can banish it to raise your anger 2 levels or something like that. And that's something that also ties into the instant powers that we're already seeing some cards in the style that when you banish them off the top of the discard pile, raise your anger 1 level, or raise your anger 2 levels, or draw a card, or something like that. Unfortunately, I don't have any examples currently off the top of my head, but I know that there are a couple of them, and that can also facilitate speed anger if you really want to go with that. Between the cards that you can banish off the top of the anger and the cards you can discard, which I think the Red Enraged Mastery would do better if you're looking to discard cards from your hand, where every time you level up you draw a card and you have to discard a card. There are still cards like Red Facebreaker where you can play it and you can discard that sacrifice in your hand for 2 anger, or you can discard that Red Restraint for the +2 stages and the extra anger buff. So there's still a lot of anger possibility, I think, that could come out of this mastery, but it's looking very, very beat-centric, especially for a lot more MPs that you don't necessarily see in the style. With old Speed Anger, you saw a whole lot of Garlic Jr. when he came out. Of course, there's the Suicide Tension Han that's been a thing before. Krillin was a big thing around Set 1, Set 2 time. Red Goku and Red God Goku were also possibilities, ones that I played as well, and they are certainly a lot of fun. Being able to tempo things as you want to is a really, really nice perk to have, and I think we're going to see a bunch of other MPs kind of embrace that red style possibility and open up to some really interesting approaches from players. All in all, I really enjoy the Red Ruthless Master. I think it's a very good one. And it's one that I'm definitely excited to play. Now, the last mastery is the Black Perceptive Mastery. If history, especially with the organized play season, shown anything, is that Black has been extremely powerful. The Black Devious Mastery is arguably the best mastery in the game right now. Even with these new masteries accounted for, being able to control your opponent's hand and the immediate +1/+1 buff is absolutely unheard of. And there's very, very stiff competition from this new Black Mastery to kind of, even meet on par with that, let alone usurp that. But, Black Perceptive Mastery adds a really, really nice level of depth that Black didn't have before, and I think it's going to be one that definitely sees a lot of play. The constant ability for Black Perceptive says that all of your style attacks gain hit, destroy an opponent's setup or drill. This gives Black one thing that was very, very sorely lacking, and that is board control. Especially in the mirror match, it is really hard to decide what you may want to get rid of with some of your abilities. About the only way that Black really had before to get rid of just about anything on the board was Dragon Ball 4 in regards to reliability. Sure, there was Black Erasing Drill, which could destroy things after a successful energy attack, or Black Declaration, which allows you to shuffle them back into the opponent's life deck, but that's only kind of a temporary fix. And what this one opens up is the ability to devastate your opponent's board, especially against some of the phenomenal Black setup cards there are. Black Power Up being amazing, Black Declaration, Black Smoothness Drill is definitely one that is going to see a lot of hurt out of this, and it's going to give a lot more depth to Black where it really didn't have it, I think, and it's going to give it a nice balance against a bunch of other styles. The immediate power of Black Perceptive Mastery lets you destroy a card off the top of your life deck to destroy the top card of your opponent. So once again, it's a 1-for-1, something I don't necessarily like. But if your opponent destroyed either a physical or an energy combat card, you gain 4 stages. Otherwise, you get to raise a player's anger 1 level. So, the effect is kind of nice. Being able to maintain stages is something that a number of MPs I can think of would really benefit having. Krillin would really, really enjoy that if he decides to play this mastery, since stages are just about everything to Krillin. MPs with low power-up ratings or low powers altogether. Garlic Jr. or Dr. Wheelo come to mind. And they will enjoy having those stages because it's so easy to knock them off. The ability to raise a player's anger one level does give a little bit more anger power to black, which the style has already got an insane amount of anger that it can work with. It already had cards like Black Hug Maneuver and Black Knee Catch. Black Command, which gets shuffled in for 2 anger. Black Corruption, which if you block, you gain 1 anger. And then when set 3 came out, we got even more 2 anger cards with Black Dash and Black Combo. Then Black Chin Kick immediately doubles your anger if it hits. So the possibility for a black MPPV deck with this mastery could be a really, really exciting possibility and something that might actually be worth consideration. But what I think this style is going to focus really heavily on is going to be mill and board control. This is especially true when you consider some of the other cards that are in the style. There's that new black drill, the name's eluding me at the moment, the one that every time a card is milled, it is banished. And there's Black Wilt, which is absolutely phenomenal, which ramps up the damage that mill attacks do, and along with giving you a whole bunch of other effects. And, I think with some of the other excellent mill cards that are in the style, discarded Black Corruption or Black Foreshadowing, that mill-centric black style could be really, really promising. And with that in mind, the MP that immediately comes to mind is Dr. Wheelo in this style. Seeing black Dr. Wheelo with this new mastery and the absolutely insane amount of mill possibility that he's got between all of his MP powers, history and revival if it gets knocked off the top of your life deck. Then you throw in the foreshadowings and you throw in the mastery, and you're just going to be taking cards off the top of your deck just about the entire game. That's something that I would really, really love to see, and I think there's a lot of promise in kind of that approach. Do I think that it's going to be played more than the Black Devious Mastery? No, not necessarily. I think that mastery is just so many levels of good, and while this mastery is also good, and there's ways that people could play it, that the current one has been around for so long that people just aren't really going to want to give up that +1/+1 buff and the ability to drop a card from your hand to force your opponent to discard one, because it's just so good. It's something that you just can't pass up. So do I think it'll replace it? No. Do I think this mastery is going to see some new play? Do I think that people are going to try and build decks around and make it exciting? Absolutely. It's a mastery that I'm really excited to see played, and I think it's going to kind of drop that stigma of, black being so broken and black being overplayed and being a cheap mastery, things like that. So there's a lot of promise with it, and it's one that I'm definitely excited to see used. So now that we've looked over all 6 masteries, where do I want to put all of these masteries at? It's a really, really tough call because they're such good masteries to fit at the top. But I think, arguably for me, the top mastery is the blue tag team mastery. That mastery is just way too good and is essentially defining the archetype of the ally deck, especially in a style that's got so many ways of being able to pull allies out already. Ginyu is going to adore it, the new Goku is going to adore it, and it's basically going to become, kind of the gold standard for where you want to go, with utilizing allies to the best of their ability. So for me, that puts it at the absolute top. Right behind it, very, very closely right behind it, is the Namekian Restored Mastery. Namekian didn't even need better mastery. The Namekian Knowledge Mastery is just so good as it is. And it's still one that's going to see a ton of play, but the hand advantage in this mastery just cannot be ignored. Being able to pull cards in your hand constantly, being able to filter your hand with that instant power is absolutely insane. The raise your 2 anger off the mastery right out the gate is absolutely unheard of. And it's going to see, I think, so much play, no matter how you decide to mix the stack or what MP you're going to use. And that puts it right up there. It absolutely has to be number 2. Number 3 is a really, really close toss-up for me, but I think I'm going to give it to the Red Ruthless Mastery. Being able to take this kind of pitch and hold style of, a very, very fast anger and change it into, a more aggressive kind of approach, a slightly more control-y kind of approach is really, really exciting. The ability to throw out an attack, whether it gets blocked or not, you can always, pull it back to be used again. Shows a whole lot of promise. There are a ton of ways that you can play this mastery. It's a good throwback to some of the old mastery references from Scorsese, the World Games and the Cell Game Saga, which are certainly some of my favorite masteries. And I think there's a ton of work that can be done with this in an already strong style. This gave it a little bit of extra oomph, and it gives kind of 2 branches I think that you could go off with this. You go the control, you can go the anger, and it opens up the style as a whole. So for me, I put the Red Ruthless Mastery in slot number 3. Number 4 then has to go to the Black Perceptive Mastery. With all style attacks automatically getting board control and being able to get rid of setups or drills, it can completely disrupt an opponent's plan, and it can get rid of some really, really well-timed cards against your opponent. Being able to keep control of the board, especially when Black's got so many phenomenal board options as it is. That's a really, really nice benefit to have. Sure, the 1-for-1 isn't phenomenal, but being able to gain stages back is really, really nice. Having a mill feature is nice, especially with some of the new cards that are approached. It's a compelling option, one that I hope we see receive some play, and I think it's definitely a good fit right there. It may not have fit up to the par that all the other masteries have so far that I've ranked above it, but it's an exciting option no less. 5th on the list, I'm going to say, is the Saiyan Rampaging Mastery. And that's mainly because of the constant that says you need 1 less anger to advance a personality level. While Saiyan might be lacking in the anger cards that it's got, while it might not have, the real propensity to say, okay, I'm actually, going to dedicatedly MPPV, especially compared to Black or Red, it's still a very exciting option. Being able to raise your anger 1 level on all hits is exciting, especially when there's some cards like Saiyan Grab that basically guarantee a hit. And there's some work that can be done with it. The power is it's nothing super, super stellar, but that's something that can be worked around with the automatic Saiyan analysis drill on the board. Unfortunately, it just doesn't really stack up to all of the other masteries I mentioned before, so it kind of falls down here. I don't know if it'll see a whole lot of play, but it's still an option, so we will just see. And lastly, the bottom is the Orange Adept Mastery. It's, in comparison to a lot of the other masteries, even the old ones, it's not super amazing. +1 stage is nice. Being able to pull out drills is nice, but not keeping your drills hurts Orange way too much in a style that has so many just unbelievable drills. Not being able to pull one from your discard with a critical damage effect hurts. And overall, I think it was just kind of an underwhelming idea that they went with. It still could see some play, it's still a decent enough possibility, but I think this is one that's going to kind of end up in the back, the mastery section of your card box, or, somewhere in the back of your binder, just because it's something you don't really want to use, and because the old Orange Adapt Mastery is just that much more favorable. So that is Table Talk here with Team Badman, and that is our overview of the brand new masteries from Dragon Ball Z Evolution, the 4th set of the Panini Dragon Ball Z card game. If you liked what you guys heard, go on ahead and click like down below, and definitely subscribe to us. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter. We are also on Twitch, and you guys can always reach us. Every handle is Team Badman 9001. Feel free to comment down below. We would absolutely love to hear what you guys have to say. Any feedback, if you guys disagreed with anything, we would absolutely love to hear it. So thanks again for watching, guys. Keep an eye out later on this week for a breakdown of the Set 4 MPs and a best-worst list to go along with it. And remember, guys, Stay bad. Thanks for watching.